Testing, testing. Can you hear me now? Anybody there? Oh, Andrea, what's up? Can you hear me now? Wait, I can't hear you. Are you speaking? Maybe just chat it. Let's test. Testing 1, 2, 3. That looks good. Oh, it works. We're good. We are good to go. Did you get it? Nice. What do you mean you don't know what that means? You should know what that means. Branch.
So I don't think anybody goes. I'm assuming long only goes to sets. Integer only goes to
Yes.
long goes to some other set number.
Yes. Very good. Nice. Good question. Very good question. The short answer to that question is once you start making larger programs in VBA, you're allocating more memory. So you're going to take up more of your memory when you only need like this much memory for a small number. If that makes sense. So if you're going to hold this, if you're telling VBA, I need this much memory to hold number 2, then you've wasted a ton of memory in your system, literally in your system, right? It's like occupying. Fair enough. Fair enough. And the reality is, no, I think that's fair. If you wanted to be excessive in your memory for this, like for the purposes of this class, I mean, there's probably 1 or 2, maybe 3 assignments towards the end of the semester where that memory allocation might make a difference. But the reality is most of the stuff in this class, you're probably okay being excessive. But it's helpful to know in your future programming life, when you make these VBA programs for your internship or your first full-time job out of school, and you're creating these massive memory variables when you don't have to. Yeah. Did you get a branch? Nice. Nice. Good work. Let's see. Did I leave off somewhere on the Fibonacci here? Right. Yep. Unlimited submissions. Fibonacci. Oh, look, this one's already done. How did this? Oh yeah, that's right. Thanks. That's it. That's it. How do we do? Did everybody finish the Fibonacci, or would it be helpful to walk through some of this? Branch did it.
I don't know.
Yeah, if it says 100%, you're good. Okay, so if I have 4 minutes before class, let's see if I can finish this 4 minutes before class. Do you think I can? Let's see if I can do it. So here's my starting place, 0 and 1. Let's do let's be crazy here. I'm gonna dim a cell as range object, and that's going to be my set a cell equal to active cell, and then I'll say a cell dot value is equal to first num a cell dot offset 1 row same column dot value is equal to second num And then, yeah, I should probably do this too then. What's my next num is equal to first num plus second num. So I can do that here. Active cell, a cell, dot offset 2 dot value is equal to next num. Okay, there we go. So I've got the first three. So if I were to test this, come over here, run this guy. What happens when I run it? Boom, we got it. So far, so good. Okay, so now I'm going to do a loop that says, okay, for x is equal to, what do I need to start off now? I've already done my offsets twice. I have a 1 and a 2. So I'm going to say equal to 3 to 50, right? Because I need to do the first 50 numbers. We so good so far? And x, I'm going to come up here and create a new x, dim x. Let me do it higher. Dim x as int. I'm going to do an integer here because I just need 50 numbers. So I'll do dim x as integer. Here's my loop. Once I'm inside the loop, what am I going to do? A cell dot offset x comma 0 dot value. So that's going to say I'm going to do a value for every next cell, right? From 3 all the way to 50. What's the value going to be? The value is going to be, let's see, what is my next value? This is where I have to think about it. The value, my next value that I want is going to be 2. So I need to add 1 plus 1. So how about if I come here and then I say, can I do this inside the loop? I'm going to say first num is equal to second num. Second num is equal to next num. Right? Am I right so far? And then a headache. I heard that. Next sum is equal to first num plus second num. Is that right? Am I doing this right? I guess we'll find out. So now I can print my next sum. That's the next sum that I want. Is that correct? So this one becomes, second num becomes 1. Next num is 2. This becomes 2. No, I don't think that's right. My next sum, this one, the first time I run this, this is going to be second num plus next num. How about that? So if I run this one, okay, that works. It printed that 2. I'm using my F8 to go through here. But before I finish this, I need to change my numbers. So before I finish this loop, I need to say, what's my first num? My first num now is equal to my second num. Is that right? My first num is 1. What was my first num up here? I set it to 0. Next sum is 1 plus 1 is 2. I've put that in here. Now I'm ready to go up a number. So my first num, my second num is 1. First num is going to go there. I think that's right. Second num is equal to next num. I think that's it. And then I'm going to go back and drag this up here. And then it's going to add it first and then put it in. Wait a minute, something's wrong. That's funny. Nice catch. Do you remember this? Oh, this should be. This should be flipped. Ha, that's funny. You never what? How does it talk to you? Oh yeah, you never did. Next num is equal to second num plus, let's see. I got this right. I got this right. I got this right. Next num is empty. Second num and next num is 1. So 1 plus 1. Oh, there it is right there. Misspelled it. Ha. Okay, we're getting closer. Next num is 2. Next num is 2. Next num is 2. First num is that. Second num, oh, I see what it is equal to next num. There we go. Now we got this. Overflow. Anybody get this problem? Yeah, what is this a problem? Why is it an overflow? Because it's trying to put the next number. It's trying to put 16,384 plus 16,384 into this number, and it can't do it. What's 16,384 plus 16,384? Boom. 32,768, which is more than, that's right, it's more than an integer. So when I created these as integers, I met my limit. If I go up to the next longest one, which is long, if I change these to long data type, it's still not good enough. That's right. I'm going to get the error again. It'll get me farther, right? It gets me down here to, what is it? I don't know what number that is. But now, what is that, 1 million or is it 10 million? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1 billion? Is that 1 billion? 1 billion. So I can't even do long. It turns out you need doubles. You need to turn these into doubles. This is, that's a good question. Is it variant? That's pretty good. I can't remember off the top of my head. What is it? What data type is larger than double in VBA? Currency is pretty high. 922 billion. I think double's large. Yeah, I think double's it. Double might be it. Currency can hold a larger value with a fixed precision of 4 decimal places. Well, there you go. How about that? Very cool. Yeah, so we are basically at the largest data type. Okay, so then once I change these to doubles and I run this again, hit F5, and it should work. It goes all the way down to this guy. So now that I've done with this, I can go up to my atlas and submit. And you guys don't see this window, but I see it. Oh, I still have an error. Dang, what's wrong with that? And I can begin to debug this. This is saying the number 10 should be 34. Cannot find this value after running make Fibonacci. So I'd come back here and try to figure out what's my number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This says 128. It's supposed to be 34. Wait, what? Yeah, what's 1 plus 2? Yeah, I got my 1 plus 2 wrong.
I'm sorry, that is wrong. Try again.
So this is how I would debug this, right? Once I have this information here, yeah, this just goes up by 2. So there's something wrong with my math here. I'm just doubling this number, 24816 instead of adding them together. Okay, good. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Please. Yes. Yeah, there is. Okay, I was trying to do that right before class started and I went over. I apologize. And I didn't do it. And apparently I didn't do very well. So wow, that makes me feel really good about myself right now. There better be Devo. I need another pump me up, you know. Need some more confidence after that one. Well, good. Why don't we go ahead and dive in here to actual class? We'll go ahead and say a prayer at this point and move forward. Here is a couple of announcements. So today is the 6th of May. We're going to talk about loops. We have a Fibonacci sequence project or homework that's due tonight. And then Thursday, we have a project due, Project Fallen Angel. And this one is very close to what we did with our web query. Has anybody finished this one already? Project Fallen Angel? Really? No. Jared's, wait, he did it last semester.
That was my first comment.
That was my first all-nighter. Don't scare him. There you go. There you go. That's better. That's better. All right. Thanks, Jared. Good to see you. So hopefully what I'd like to do today is I'd like to work through this loops, give you a sense for some loops, do some repeating action, which again, loops for me is where we separate the boys from the men in terms of VBA, right? All your friends, all your good friends in BA 215 on spreadsheets. Did you know, by the way, did you know on graduation day, just this past couple of weeks ago, when they had graduation, BA 215 was mentioned like 4 times across graduation ceremonies. It was amazing. I think there was like 4 speakers that mentioned BA2, that specific course in the course of the day. It was awesome. Spreadsheet analysis. Yeah. This functionality we're going to talk about today, this whole idea of loops is separating you from the rest of the pack. The ability that you will have now to create and use loops in Excel is differentiated, and it starts today. We're going to do a ton of loops. So if you don't understand everything that happens today, that's okay. It's a learning process. You're going to be doing loops the rest of the semester. And this is one of those steps where you're leveling up your VBA Excel skills right here, right now, starting with loops. Cue the montage music, right? This is it, the learning montage. So that's what we're gonna do today. And let me see if we can get through the loops today and save some time at the end of class. I'd really like to start, give you a little bit of boost on Project Fallen Angel, because I am not gonna be here on Thursday. So no class on Thursday. Chris, are you by any chance gonna be here on Thursday?
I'll be here on Thursday.
Would you be available to be kind of like a lab on Thursday to help with the project? Project Fallen Angel, that would be really helpful. And if anybody hasn't finished the web query one yet, you can bring that to class and maybe Chris can help you work on that as well. That'd be great. And maybe that's a great way to spend our time on Thursday is to knock out this project if you haven't done it. Okay, great. So that's where we're going. And then next week, a week from today, we have another homework due, highlight a row. We're going to talk about ranges and cells. And then a couple weeks comes up the study guide. Our next big project isn't for until the end of this month, so we have some time here. Again, the projects do take a little bit extra time, so you know you probably want to think about how you're going to do that between now and Thursday. Is where you're going to grab some extra time to put into those projects. Okay, great. What I need to do is I need to make sure my microphone doesn't go off. So, Peter, if you see this green light go off, let me know. Can you see that from there? Okay. All right. All right. You guys watch it too. We'll all watch it together. I think it died in my other class in the afternoon. So hopefully not today. Okay, great. Let's start with the prayer. Let's start with the prayer and we'll dive into loops. Who'd like to offer a prayer for us? Any volunteer? Trevor, thanks.
about VBA and for bilingual or for the challenge preparation, keep us in the bill directly in front of that may inspired that they may teach the things that will help us advance careers, not just become not just effective disciples of be, but also effective contributors to whatever industry we're looking at. All the real things pray for teaching today in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Thanks very much. Yeah, by the way, I'm going to not a conference, a training in Minneapolis on Thursday, with the intent to look at some advanced supply chain methods using R, which is kind of interesting. Things like time series forecasting, network design. How do you design your supply chain network based on where your customers are and where your suppliers are? So in terms of getting supply materials all the way to customers, through distribution centers, out to retail, those kinds of network diagrams are interesting, which also bleeds into some geographical data, right? And Excel's gotten a little bit better with geographical data. They've pulled in some common data sets now. R's ability to display, visualize, use web data is pretty remarkable. And so one of my reasons why I'm missing class on Thursday is I'm going out to evaluate some potential content to bring actually back into this class for future semesters, which would be really fun, really interesting. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to hop over to our web page here for our class. For Tuesday, we are in loops, repeating actions. I'll jump into this page here, and I'm going to download this unemployment file here for class. This is an XLSM file. So if I click on that, it takes me to the file. I'll click on download. I'll save as unemployment. And then I need to open up the folder of where this is at. I need to right click on this, go to properties, and click on unblock. We need to unblock this so that we can access the VBA parts of this file, the code behind it. And then I'm going to open it up. So I'll double click on that and I'll open this up. So I'll open up our unemployment file here. And let's see. So what do we have here? This looks like a list of counties. Alabama, look at that. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona. This looks like a long list of counties. If I go to the bottom here, PR, is that Puerto Rico? Wyoming. Looks like there's all kind of counties throughout the country. Let's see if we can find what county we in? Madison County. I bet there's so many of these. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia. There it is. Madison County, Idaho, right there. So here's our Idaho County. And what we're going to do is we're just going to use this data to help us do some loops today. So there's a couple of different types of loops. I'll go ahead and put this on one side of the screen, and then I'll open up my Visual Basic on the other. And I've got nothing here. Do you guys have anything in yours?
Yes.
Oh, you do? Oh, gosh. Okay, I'm going to go to View and open up my Project Explorer, open up my Properties window. And okay, there we go. There's my modules. Very good. Okay, here's one. If you double click on the mod web query module, we have two modules here. If I double click on the mod web query, this is a web query sub. So this is some code in here, multiple procedures here that actually performs a web query, which is kind of cool. And we're going to be using that here in just a minute. If I were to look at this, I mean, we don't really need to go into this one too much. Let me see if there's anything in my notes I wanted to mention here. This is basically taking the place of using the legacy web query. So we use the legacy web query, and we'll use that for the Fallen Angel assignment. But this takes the place of that. And what we're going to do with this is if we go into module 1, basically we're going to use this code to pull data from a government server. And so we don't have to worry right now about how this actually works. Let's go over to the other module. Let's go to module 1. And in module 1, we've got a couple of different things going on here. So let's look at this code. But you might, you might see some of this data later on in other classes too. Kind of interesting data. There's two different procedures here. This is the first one. It's called get data. That's the name of this sub. And there's one line of code in this entire sub. How about that? This is actually calling another sub, which seems weird, right? Why would you have one sub just to call another sub? And it turns out that's actually pretty common. What we're doing here is we're splitting up one sub, which is getting one county of data. So this is let's see, which county is this? 20,063. If I come over here and search for that in this sheet, this is Gov County, Kansas. So we're saying, give us the Gov County, Kansas data, import one. And we can write one procedure to just get that one, right? This helps us modularize our code, right? The whole idea of breaking apart our code is evident here. We're saying this one sub right here, the bottom one, is just getting one county at a time. And we can write another sub that says, okay, go get this county, now go get this one or this one or this one, right? If we wanted to import county data for Madison, what was that number? I already forgot. Let's look up Madison County, Idaho, and we can search. Here's the number right there, 16065. So I can come over here, we can paste that in here. And now if I run this get data sub, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to import county data. It's going to call this sub down here. It's actually going to open the sub and it's going to go through each line down here, but it's going to use this number first, right? And it's going to bring that down here and it's going to go get that county data for this. Once it's done with this sub the first time, it goes back to this upper sub and then runs this line. And then it's going to do this sub again, except with a different input value, different parameter. And that's how we do this. So we're separating out, we're saying use one sub for one county, do everything in that sub for just one county, and then use another sub to tell it which county to go get. And we can come back here, we can do a loop, right? We can actually put a loop in here in this sub that executes this sub multiple times. So this becomes pretty helpful for our loops. Okay, so I'm just gonna put a comment in here. I'm gonna space over a couple times. I'll put a single what do you call that? Syllable, yeah, quote, single quote. That's my comment quote. So this is calling Madison County, Idaho. And that turns that to green. We know the green text is like a comment. And what VBA does is it doesn't even it doesn't run this as code. It says, oh, I'm just going to ignore this. That's not for me. It's for you. Okay, so let's do some loops here. If we go down here to this sub, this is where we're actually importing the county data. Inside the parentheses, we're defining a variable. And it's a different kind of variable. It's really called a parameter. And so it expects to be passed some information. It says, okay, you want me to run this? You want me to do this? Well, you're going to have to give me something. And we're going to give it this number, right? This inside this quote. By the way, notice that the number is inside quotes, which makes it a string character. It's actually not a numeric data type. It's a string. And that's because in sometimes these begin with zeros. And so we want to keep that first zero. So we'll send it as a string. And it's going to run this. So let's walk through this here. And then we're going to start to add to this. What is this right here? Dim S as worksheet. What is S? What does S represent here? Anybody remember? Sorry? Just a variable. Yeah, that's right. What are the two characteristics of an object? You guys remember? Trevor knows. Two characteristics of an object?
Well, it's that it has. I always forget. One of them is that it has like a method.
Yeah, very good.
Other ones.
Yeah, very good. Very good. A property describes an object, right? Like a value, a dot value describes it. Brother Chapman, he's tall. That's a property, Brother Chapman. A method is something it does. Yeah, that's right. Something that it does. It does. What does Chapman do? Chapman eats. Chapman sleeps. Chapman teaches. Chapman grades. Yeah, very good. Okay, great. Objects and method. So we're dimming S as a worksheet. And we're setting S to be a sheet to hold the data. So first thing we're doing here is we're adding a worksheet into this workbook, and we're going to add it after this workbook.worksheets.count. So we're going to say whatever the number of worksheets that are in this workbook, add the sheet after the last one. So we're saying just add a sheet and call that sheet S. The benefit of that, of calling it S, is that we don't have to type all this in, right? Every time we use that, we can just use this S letter to refer to that new sheet. And then down here, it says this is where we're actually getting the data. So this line creates the worksheet. This line gets the data. So here's our create web query. This is the query that we have in the other module. And it's expecting some pieces of information. It's saying, go get s.range A1. This is probably where we're going to put the return data on this sheet, A1. And then it says where to go get the data. Here is an old, look at that, bls.gov website address. And so this is https data.bls.gov. This is an actual government server, and it has some time series data on it. And it has language here to pull a specific county information from a specific year. How about that? It's saying pull all tables, false and true. These are all inputs to this other query sub, but everything inside of this parenthesis, inside of these quotes, concatenated with this input, concatenated with this URL. So this is a dynamic URL, right? In other words, if I were to copy this, what we have here, go to a web page, type this in here, and then replace this middle part with a code, a county code, I would get data, right? So let's see, what's my Madison code number again? 16065. So I'm going to type that in, 16065 here. Once I hit enter, it takes me to a website. And here's a website, an official website of the United States government. This is for Madison County. So this is the series ID right there. And there's that 16065 right there. How about that? So it's actually embedded into a web page that we're going to go pull data from and put it into Excel. That's pretty cool. Overall statistics for Madison County, not bad. Labor force has increased. Wow, what was that? 2016 was a jump. Employment's increased. Unemployment, oh, interesting. Unemployment has also increased. There's an unemployment rate is actually on the rise here the past couple of years. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. And then here's all the data. So this is a real site. This is a real government site. It pulls data, and we can use this to pull this data. So let me just do this. I'm going to comment out this first one and just run this import county data and see what happens. Ready? So I've got my Excel. No, where's my Excel? Got my Excel sheet over here. I've got my VBA code over here. And I'm going to click inside of this sub. I'm going to comment this line out. I just want to run this line right there. And I'll click on play. And what it should do is it should create a new worksheet, and it should go grab data from the BLS data site and put it into a new sheet. Let's see if it works. Ready, set, go. It's thinking. It's thinking. Anybody else doing this? Maybe we'll crash the server. Oh, we didn't. Okay, look, we got data. So it says series ID. Here's our area, Madison County, Idaho. It's got from 2008. Oh dear, did we pull a ton of data? To 2025. Look at that. We just pulled all this data. We've got by month. This is monthly data, labor force, employment, unemployment rate. How about that? Anybody not get that? Okay, great. So now we've got some data. So let's go create a sub. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to create kind of a visualization of this report. Now that we have this data, what are we going to do with it? So, and let's do that through some loops. So I'm going to come down to the bottom here on my code, and I'm going to start writing some code here. So let's do another sub. Sub get data, but let's do a do loop. So I'll do an underscore do as my sub name. And I hit enter, and then it will automatically create the end sub. And let me see if I can make this higher. In fact, let me see if I can move this immediate window down here. It's probably easier to see the code up on the top of the screen. Is that true? Is that a little bit better? Sorry, a little less glare. Okay, great. And let's dim a row. Let's create a row variable. So dim row as long. And why long? Long has like 2 billion, 2 billion values, right? And what's the number of rows in Excel? Like 1.04 million rows. Let's see, I could find out real quick. Yeah, 1.04 million rows. So long will work in terms of row number. That covers as many counties as we had. How many counties are there? Yeah, the FIPS number is like 72,000. I've got row 3,274, including Puerto Rico. So yeah, we're talking 3,200 counties, something like that, with the country. So long is more than enough. It's great. And let's do row is equal to 2, because we're going to start here on the second row. The first row is just header information. So I'm going to go ahead and set row is equal to 2. And let's do a do loop. When I do a do loop, I start with a do and I end with a loop. And when I write loop code, I like to do my starting and ending together at first. Because oftentimes what happens is I'll start my loop in the code and I'll forget to end it later on. I'm like, I get this error, and sometimes it's hard to debug the error. It's hard to find it. Oh, I forgot to close my loop. I forgot to put the word loop. That's all I needed. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll do and a loop right after it. And then the next thing I like to do inside my do loop is my do events. And we ran into this the other day, right? A do events allows me to pause my do a loop if I need to pause it. It allows me to stop it. It allows me to prevent a continuous running do loop that never stops. So the do events, I like to put that in there first too. I do my do loop and do events. And now I can write whatever else I want to write inside my do loop. Well, the other thing I want to do here is I want to increment my row. So I want to go down this sheet row by row. So let's do row is equal to row plus 1. And that's going to go down the rows. And let's go ahead and import the county data inside this loop. So I will make a couple rows and I'll say import county data. And where am I getting that from? Let's see if I can spell it right. Import county data. That's the name of this sub up here. So I'm calling that sub from this inside this loop, right? Here's this name up here, import county data. I'm just using that exact sub. I'm saying I want you to run this sub. And the one that I want you to run is coming from the county's sheet, right? So if I look at the county sheet, I can call the county sheet, or I can use what's called the code name. I think we talked about this. Did we talk about this already? If I go to my project window here, the code name for my county sheet is actually just county. So it's labeled as counties on the tab, and that's what's in parentheses here. But the code name for that sheet is county. In other words, if I change this name over here, if I renamed it to Counties of USA, let's say, that changes the tab name, but it didn't change the code name. So I can use the code name county and refer to that sheet. The only way to change the county word is in the properties window. I go to the properties window. This is inside this VBA. This is the only way to change that name, which makes it very convenient, right? That code name for that sheet is county. So I'm going to say import county data space county, which is going to refer to that sheet. And I'm going to say cells. And I'm going to say row, comma, 1. So I'm referring to the counties or the county sheet, and it's saying, give me row, comma, 1. Row is referring to this number that I set up here. So this is row 2. The first time I run this loop, row 2, comma, 1. That means column 1. So which cell is this in this sheet? A2, very good. Bingo, that's it. 01000. That's the number of that county. In this case, this is actually the entire state of Alabama. So they have state and county here. That's where all these different numbers, right? All of Alabama starts with 01. It's like the 1,000 state, and then the counties go down after that. So I can say cells row, comma, 1 dot value. And this is going to import that county data, right? So we're saying, give me that value. If I wanted to make sure this was correct, I could come down to my immediate window. I could copy this and come down to the immediate window. County.cells. I could do a open or what do you call this? A question mark, and paste in this value. And maybe it's because it's not running. I have to be in break mode to run that. It doesn't know what row is because I haven't set row. If I just put 2 here and then the question mark, that would give me 01000. It gives me the value right there. So that is the value that I do want to send to. I want to send that value into this sub, which is right here, to go pull that data. Okay. So if I were to run this, I don't want to run it yet because I haven't told it when to stop yet, right? So I need to tell it when to stop. When do I tell it to stop? Do until. That'd be a long do loop, right?
Depends how much data we want. You want to get all of it, then you do until it's no active cells in.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do that. So let's put in here, if we wanted all this data, again, we're doing this loop, and what we want to do is we want to pull all this data. I mean, the nice thing is we wouldn't have to do this copy and paste, right? We wouldn't have to copy and paste this ourselves and do it for 3,000 counties. We could do this in a loop. So let's do a do until. And one way to do this is a do until. There's a couple of ways to do it. Let's do it this way. County dot cells row, comma, 1 dot value is equal to double quotes. So this is saying do this loop until this value here is basically blank. That's what this means. There's nothing in that cell. If there's nothing in that cell, if this is true, so if this evaluates to true, then get out of the loop. Don't do the loop. So do until this is true. Another way to do this is we could do the loop. If I take this down here, if I take this and move this down to the bottom, we could say loop until this value is false. So this says it would go through the loop at least once before stopping, right? If I left it up at the top, it may not go into the loop at all. But if I leave it at the bottom, it's going to go through the loop at least once. Do this at least once until the cell's blank. So I tend to use, just out of preference, I usually do it at the top in this case, so I'll leave it at the top. Do until this value is blank. So it's going to go down all these rows because we're going to increment, right? Every time we go through this loop, we're going to import the data. We're going to increment to the next row. It's going to check the do events is like a pause. Do you need me for anything? Okay, if not, I'm going to keep going. You know, it just happens so fast. And it does the loop again. And it's going to go all the way down this loop. So if I were to run this loop now, which I won't because it would take a ton of time. It would go pull 3,000 counties worth of data. It would create 3,000 new sheets in that workbook. Whoa, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a great question. You want to find out, Bryce? You want to try it and see how we can probably just Google the answer. That's a good question. I don't know if I've really seen a lot of value, a upper value on that one. That's an interesting one, actually. But let's do this. Instead of doing everything, what if we input? Yeah, that actually vibes with my experience. I don't think I've ever known a set. I don't think there's ever seen one. Can you imagine? Yeah, 3,000 sheets. Wouldn't that be crazy? That is a little bit crazy. Okay, great. Instead of pulling everything though, what if we just pulled a few hundred maybe? Let's add a statement. Let's add an if statement in here that says if row, in fact, let's do it after the do events. If row is greater than, should we say 5? Then exit do. This is like an exit of the do loop. So we're saying, hey, we won't do this for everything, even though that's what this says. We have an until statement that says keep going all the way down until it's blank. But you know what? If row is equal to 5, let's just exit the do anyway, right? We're just adding a simple if statement, like an escape clause to exit us out if we wanted to do that. Okay, but this is our first example of the do loop. Let's do another example. Let's look at the for loop. So this is our do loop. And the for loop, let's do another sub. Sub get data for. And in this one, let's go ahead and dim a row. Dim row as long, like we did before. And by the way, is it okay to do this for, can I have a dim row here in this sub and a dim row here in this sub? Is that okay? Totally okay. Are they going to overlap? Nope, they're not. Because this is a variable that only is run in this sub. And then after this sub is done, that memory is erased. That variable no longer exists, right? So I can absolutely create another variable in another sub with the same name because this one is only going to exist inside of this sub. Good. Okay, so let's include a for loop here. So we have our row, and let's do for row is equal to 1,000. Notice that we don't have to set the row here, right? In the previous one, we set row is equal to 2 up here. Row is equal to 2. In this sub, because the way the for loop works, we're going to set row in our for loop. We're going to say row is equal to 2, but go to just 1,000. And at the bottom of this for loop is the word next. And the next actually takes care of incrementing the row all by itself, which is kind of cool. Question here? Peter? No, good question. The indentation does not matter. I could leave all of these lines over here on the left if I wanted to. I could tab them in if I wanted to. For my own, I just kind of have a habit maybe of indenting inside. And by the way, I like to indent inside my loops as well. So everything in my, and that just kind of just helps me organize a little bit better, right? I could indent this, and then I can see, oh, I'm inside of a loop here because these are all indented. Yeah, just personal preference. Yeah, good question. From a coding perspective, no, it doesn't matter. But there's a couple different ways we could do this for loop. One is for row is equal to 2 to 1,000. I could just do 2 to 100. But I could also change the increment. I can take a step of 2. So it would go 2, 4, 6 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I can step 2. I could also go backwards. I could do for row is equal to 100 to 2 with a step of -1. I could do that as well. So there's lots of ways to kind of organize this for loop. I'll do for row is equal to 2 to 100 for now, equal to 2 to 100. Let's do 1,000. And let's do a step of 1. Now it defaults to step of 1, so I don't have to put that in here. But just to be specific, I'll put that in here. And let's do this. Let's do a debug.print. Debug.print. And this is going to print to my immediate window down here when I run it. What do I want it to print? I want you to print the row. And what we don't need in a for loop is we don't need the do events and we don't need the row increment. The row increment is going to happen here at this next. And the do events is a do thing. It's a loop. It's a do loop thing. And that does not apply to the for loop. So we don't need that. What do we need? I think that's it. We need to import county data. That's right. Let's do that. So I'm inside this for loop. Let's do import county data. And by the way, I actually don't have to do the capital letters. If I want to be a little bit lazy here, I could just do lowercase. And if I spell it correctly and I hit space, it will automatically recognize. And when I change the row I'm on, it'll capitalize it for me to match. But import county data, and let's use the same reference. So we're going to reference county as the sheet name, and we'll do cells. What's our row of our cells going to be row? Column's going to be 1, and we'll take the value of cells row comma column dot value. Okay, great. So that is another way to do the do loop, right? We've done the do loop. We're importing county data. Now we have a for loop, and we've imported county data that way as well. Okay, great. So those are some loops. Let's do another one. In fact, let's do this. Let's do this and make sure it's working for people. Let's do for row is equal to 2 to 3. And let's see if we can just do this 2 times. And let's see if we can run this. We don't have enough people right now to crash the server. I hope not.
We haven't even tried the other one yet.
We haven't tried that one. Should we try that one? I don't want to try a lot of rows though. Let's just try 2 rows. So if you want to try the do loop, that's a good idea. Let's try the do loop, make sure it works. Let's do if row is greater than 4, just 3. How about that? If it's greater than 3, then just exit. And basically, I just don't want to have all of us on the server at the same time. I just want to be nice to the server. That's the only reason. I mean, it's a government server. Trevor, are you laughing or coughing? Oh, okay. No worries. Yeah, so if you change your if row is greater than 3, then exit do loop. let's see if this works. Let's run this. Ready, set. I'll click inside the sub. This is my do loop. I've changed my row to greater than 3 here with the exit, and I'll run this, and then it should give us some data. It should run when the row is 2, and it should go through, and it should run again when it's 3, and then when it's 3, it should exit. So you should get 2 new sheets of data according to this code.
Yeah, the first one's blank.
Your first one's blank. Oh, interesting. Why would that be the case?
Is it because the first one is Alabama, it's a city and not a county? And the code string is like the website?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it.
Not for- not for-
Maybe it didn't recognize the 1000. That's an interesting one. Let's try, that's a good point. Let's test that if we go row equals 3, and we'll change the if statement to be if row is greater than 4, and that gives us 2 new sheets. And let's see if that works. That's an interesting one. I hadn't thought about that. I bet you're right. That might be a different, it might be a different URL, actually. So if I change my row to 3, and if I change my if row greater than 4 and run this again, I should get 2 new sheets. So this would be sheets 4 and 5. And they should have the county data in both those. 1001, 1003. For Ottawa County. Yeah, there's my sheet 4, Ottawa County. And then sheet 5 should be the other county. Baldwin, that's it. Great, good. Okay, let's do a neighbor check. Neighbor, I got it. Or neighbor, I'm completely lost. Or neighbor, there goes my weekend. Let's check where we're at. Here's the code. How we doing?
They're supposed to get the Ottawa County and then the Baldwin.
That's it. Perfect. Great. Carter. Nice. Jacob. Good. Great. Branch. Man, you're solid. Look at you. You're solid. Does it make sense? Not yet. Okay. Oh, you mean this isn't intuitive? This just doesn't come from your soul, and it's like, oh, a for loop goes like this. No. Okay. Well, give it some time. It'll come. It'll come. How's it going? Which error is it? When you play it, what happens? Sub or function. Oh, a little space. I think it's spelled wrong. Do space and then until. Yeah, so I think you need a space and then until. Yeah. That's, by the way, that's the hardest error to find is some of those misspellings. That is hard. So do you have the space and then the until? Yeah. Okay, good. So is there another error?
I get it.
Oh yeah, change your T and the I. Yeah.
Oh.
Perfect. Try that.
Oh, now it's that
Now
one.
it's thinking, yeah, that's it. Sweet, good. Okay, great. Let's see, green light's still on. That's good. Okay, couple more loops here. Well, let's see. We've run the do. Let's go ahead and run the for. Should we run the for? So get data. Here's our for loop example. We're going to do for row is equal to 2 to 3, step 1. But here, let's make another change up here. Let's come up here to the top. And instead of 2008, let's do, instead of this URL, because we can change what year we want to pull from. Let's change the year. Let's just go 2020. How about that? And that'll reduce the time it takes, or it should reduce the time it takes to get that data. So we'll change the year from 2008 to 2020, and then let's run the for loop down here. So for row is equal to 2 to 3. In fact, let's change the 2 to 2 is going to give us the state. So let's go down here. Let's go what? 10 to should we do 10 to 12. And that'll year changes this line up here in the import county data, and then your years over here. Change that to 2020 or you know, any recent year, just so we don't have a ton of data. And then for this data for loop, let's change the rows equal to 10 to 12. Let's do something a little more down the list. And this time it should print the row, and then it should run the import county data. So we'll run this. Ready, set, go. So I'm on row 10. And looks like it's getting data. There's row 11. It's importing a new sheet. Let's see, this one's still bold. There's 10, 11, and 12. And then it should stop after 12. Okay, and I've got Calhoun County, Chambers County, and Cherokee County, all in Alabama. And yeah, we got all this data. So far, so good. Okay, looking good. Let's do another sub. Let's do, this one's a little bit of a different kind of a loop. This is going to be a for each loop. So I'll do sub get data for each, and let's call it each sheet. Kind of a long name. Get data for each sheet. We'll dim S as a worksheet. So we have a new collection, a new worksheet. And what we can do is we can say for each S in the worksheet. So we'll do this workbook dot worksheet in this collection of worksheets, right? And then we have a next. There's my for next loop, right? So here's just kind of reviewing where we're at. We have a sub. Here's my sub name. I've created a worksheet object. S is the name of that worksheet object. And I'm saying for each worksheet in this workbook, all of this worksheets, right? There's a collection of worksheets. So this is a collection object, collection of worksheets. For each one of those, for each worksheet in the collection, do something inside this loop. So that's what it's going to do for each worksheet. And here's what we can do. We can do a debug dot print, and let's just print the name, s dot name. So the dot name is, which is it, a property or a method of the S? Yeah, very good. Property. Why? Yeah, exactly. It just describes. That's right. It's something that describes the S object. Yeah, S dot name. So all we're saying is print the name out, and it's going to print it down to this immediate window. So I'll just delete everything out of my immediate window. And if I run this sub, this time it's not getting any information. We're not calling the import county data sub. All we're doing is we're doing a loop. We're looping through all of these sheets in the workbook. So if I run this, I'll click on play, and we should see all of the names of the sheets down here in the immediate window. Which is, by the way, this is the name referred here to is the name of the tab, right? That's the tab name. I've got 9 sheets total here, and they're all here. Okay, please, question?
I only have one sheet. Never mind, I lied.
Oh yeah, was it just kind of scrolled down like this or something?
Yeah, I think it was stolen.
Right, right. Okay, good. Please, Peter.
Mine says that I have a variable not defined.
Oh, okay. Branch can solve that for him. You want to show Branch? Branch is good at variables. In fact, let's do a neighbor check. Everybody see these sheets here? How we doing? Pretty good? Is this starting to?
Just gonna kick it back in. I go back through. I go back.
Nice.
Double check, make sure all my codes are right.
Oh, nice.
Just fine. Actually,
Yeah.
let's do it. So with this variable starting worksheet, the name, the way to get the actual ice.
Ooh, like the code name?
Exactly.
Yeah, do the dot. Go back to the name and sorry. Backspace over the. I wonder if it has a different dot instead of dot name. I wonder if it's a dot. Dot something. What would it be? Is it in that list?
I would think it would
Code
be-
name.
Oh, here we go.
Try that.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share that. Okay, Chris just asked a great question. How do you get it to print the code name? And it turns out there's another property. So instead of s.name, we could say s.codename. And if I click on S, if I write S and click on dot, this gives me all of the properties and methods of this object. And so if you come down here, there is a code name property right there. How about that? So I can replace my s.name with s.codename. I can run this and it will give me, well, let's see, let me erase this, try it again so it just makes it cleaner. That's the code name, right? And if I come in here, if I change my sheet 1 code name to a different name, and if I run this again, then it changes that to that new code name. Okay, cool, very cool. So one of the great things about this using this dot notation is it gives us a list of all the options we can do in terms of the properties and methods for that object, which is pretty cool. Okay, great. Very cool. Okay, I think there is one more sub. No, two more. Two more subs to do here. One continues along this line of the for each. So let's do another sub. I'll come down to the bottom here. This one, we're going to do a get data for each cell. And by the way, the name here is whatever you want it to be named, right? I'm just using this as a way to keep track of the different types of loops that we're working on. But you can type whatever name you want right there for your sub. Let's go ahead and, in this case, we're going to dim cell as a range. So instead of a spreadsheet, we're looking at the cells. And we can loop through all of the objects in a collection of cells. So what we did here, for example, is we looped through all of the worksheets in this collection, worksheet by worksheet. We can also do one that says, go through every cell in a collection of cells. So we'll do for each cell, and this cell, by the way, is referring to this range object, right? Cell here is referring to this range object. For each cell in, and we're gonna create a collection of cells here. And let's see, what's the best way to do this? There's a couple different ways. We could do a named range, right? And we can also just reference a couple of cells. So for example, if I come back down here to immediate window, if I do question mark columns 1 dot address, then it gives me a set of cells, right? It's saying, give me all of the cells in column A. That's one way to identify a range of cells. Another one is I could do question mark active sheet. We know about active cell. There's also an active sheet dot used range dot address. And that's going to give me a collection of cells where there's actually data in the sheet. So my active sheet right now, I'm in sheet 8, and I have data from cells A1 down to F72, right? There's actually nothing in F72, but it recognizes the last data row here is 72, and the last column is F. So it's basically saying all of this is my used range all the way up to A1 on my sheet. How about that? So it's saying active sheet dot used range dot address. What's the address of those cells? Okay, great. Another one is, let's see, there's a lot here. There's one that's called, I mean, if we wanted to do this so that we could go through each county here, how would we go through all of the cells in this column to, as a loop, right? To do a loop, we would probably do something like this. Columns 1, and this is going to be which, this is going to be active sheet. So this is on their active sheet. Columns 1 dot, we've done columns 1. Oh yeah, oh here it is. Intersect. Sorry, go back. We're going to do the intersection. There is a function called intersect, and we're going to say the intersection of the first column, comma, active sheet dot used range dot address. And so this is going to give us the list of counties without going to the end of the sheet, right? We're not saying 1.04 million rows for column A. We're saying just give me the intersection between column 1, everything in column 1, but only down to the used range, which is like for this sheet down to, what was it, 3,200 something, down to here. And so that's where it's giving us this A3274. Now we can use this as the way to write our for loop. So for each cell in this area, intersect columns 1 active sheet dot used range. And by the way, we want to offset this by 1. So let's change the address to offset 1 because that top row. And we'll do a next. So we're doing a for each loop. Let's debug.print the cell address, and then we could import the county data using cell.value. And just so that we don't do everything, I'll type in a fail safe here or an escape clause. If it's greater than 10, then exit the for loop. Right, that's just kind of an escape clause to avoid server crash or something. Just a note there, right? That's the only reason is we're just trying to be nice to the server. We don't want to overload the server. Maybe overload, server overload. Okay, so that's our for each loop in terms of cells. So if we have a range of cells, we can do a for loop that says go through each cell in this range and do this code. It'll debug, print the cell address, and then it will import that value. So if I wanted to test this, and if I wanted to do, let's do row is greater than, again, I don't want to do too many. Let's do greater than 3, then exit the for loop. I could run this and see what happens. It would print the cell address, and then it's going to go import that county data. There's my next one, A3. and then it should exit after that. That's true. It does 4 and then it exits because it doesn't exit until it's greater than 3, right? So it will change it to 4. And so that should give me 3 sheets here. And it follows that first sheet's going to be blank because it's the state, and it gives us the next 2 sheets. Okay, great. Let's do a neighbor check. Neighbor, how you doing? Pretty good. Did we get it?
Got an error.
We could offset 2 and avoid the state as well. Okay. How's everybody doing? Pretty good? Still typing? Okay, I hear some typing. My first one was sheet 9 was because that was the state row. But 10 and 11, I had Atauga, Atagua. I don't know how to say that. And then I had Baldwin. So I was doing the first, basically the first, the second row, third row, fourth row of the county sheet right here. But the state one should be blank. But yeah, you should not get blank for 10 and 11.
Yeah, I just ran it, yeah.
Probably what that means is copy this part right here. And then tell me what it says when you throw this into the immediate window and do address. Does it just say A1 or does it say A1 through A72? So I did this part, I copied this and then typed address at the end of it.
So intersect column.
Used range, yeah. See if you have that right collection of cells.
Is that a period or not?
It's a comma. This one right here. Yeah, it's a comma right there.
So when I do it, there's, I can identify or back.
Oh, right there. If you copy this and then put address at the end after the question mark.
There's a child.
What? False doctrine. Jacob, did you get it? Kathleen? A new sheet?
They're all blank.
Are they all blank or just the one? Columns 1 offset. Debug.print. Cell.value. L is range. So offset 2. Import candidate. And so it's all blank. It's not going. Maybe we killed the server. Maybe we killed it. It's possible.
So I just added the question mark. I didn't have the question mark initially. So I added
Oh,
that, but
okay.
only got this one right here.
Oh yeah. So columns 1 active sheet dot used range. You actually have to be on the county sheet
Oh,
when
okay.
you run the code, and that way it grabs.
So can I erase sheets?
Yeah, yeah. You can take those out. Yeah, that might be the problem here too. When you guys run it, go back to on the active sheet counties, because that'll pick up the counties there and then run that. See if that works. Yeah. There you go. I bet that's it. Kathleen, I bet that's it. I think you have to go back to the county sheet on the Excel sheet and make that your active sheet. And then when you run the code, it'll pick up those county words. Yeah, yeah.
Could you say that, so for each
Yeah.
cell, they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, like this, this workbook dot count. Yeah, you could on the intersect one. Let's try. I don't know if I can do that as a sheet object. Let's try it. I don't know. I don't know if it recognizes that one, and then not be on it. Be on a different sheet and run it. Yeah, it probably doesn't it doesn't recognize that as a part of the object, county object. So what I could do is I could come up here and I could say, yeah, county dot activate. And that would select that sheet first, and then it would run in the correct sheet. Yeah, that's one way to do it. So if I'm over here in sheet 11, and now if I run this, it's going to activate that sheet first, and then it's going to go grab those that column 1 from that county, and now it's pulling data, right? Yep, A3, A4, so you can see it's pulling data. Okay, great. Okay, good. I'd like to change gears for now. Can we change gears to the project? Can we look at Fallen Angel project for a minute? We got a few minutes left of class. Can I give you a push towards Fallen Angel at this point? Give you a little head start, a little rolling push. Okay, great. So let me go ahead and save this file just so I don't lose it. And I can post that to the website. So let's go to the Fallen Angel one. So if I pull up the Fallen Angel assignment, how do I do that? I'm going to go back to the website, and I'm going to go to Fallen Angel right here. I'll just go ahead and click on that. It opens this assignment, load Fallen Angel in new window, takes me over to the My Educator, and I'm going to download this file. So I'm going to click on the file. I'll save as. It's got my name on it and everything. Look at that. And don't forget to unblock it. So I'll go right click on the file, do properties, got to unblock it because it's a macro enabled worksheet. And I'm going to open this up. And here is the file. So I'm going to put my file over here, and I'll do Alt F11 to pull up the Visual Basic, kind of a shortcut to doing developer Visual Basic button. I can just click Alt F11, that'll pop up here. And here's what I want to do. I want to walk through this because I want to make a small but subtle change to this assignment to make it easier. The intent here is to make it easier, actually. And so what I want to do is, just like we did before, if you guys remember doing our legacy web query before, that's kind of what this project is geared around. It's geared around doing a web query and running a web query with VBA. So the way we set that up was, one of the first things we did is we created a new sheet. And so I'm going to go over here and just manually create a sheet. I'm not going to write any code yet. I'm just going to create a new sheet. let's call this sheet web query. How about that? And we're going to use this sheet to import the information from the web into this sheet. I want it to go into A2. Just like we did before, I'm going to copy the stock ticker symbol, this ticker letter collection. I'm going to write a macro in just a second. I'm going to copy this into this sheet right here into A1. And then I'm going to reset or rerun this web query. So what I need to do before I run the macro is I want to create a legacy web query before I record, right? I want to create it before I record the macro so that the macro just reruns the web query that I already have set up. So I'll come up here to the search bar and I'll type in legacy and I'll look for where it says from web legacy. This is the old web legacy query. I'll click on no on all the error messages because it doesn't know how to run JavaScript. This is the old original Internet Explorer. And I think if you click on the drop-down assignment and if you this drop-down option here, if you've done the other assignments in class, this random.org, you could click on this random.org URL and then click on no again. There's another JavaScript that runs. It takes you to the random.org website, and all we need is we just need to import this, right? We don't have to do much else other than import this. And it's going to ask us, where do we want to import it? I want to put it right on A2. Don't put it on A1. I want to put it on A2. So I'll click on A2.
Where can we find that?
Oh, if you don't have it, do you have another one in there? I'll click on OK. You could probably just type in random.org. If you don't have that, you could probably just get away with typing it in. That's right, because yours gets wiped out every time, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, last time I was using my own wife.
Oh,
using my
okay.
computer, not using my wife.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think it's also on. I also think you could get it on. You know, what was that? Was the first day we did that, or was it the second day? One of these has the link for it. Maybe. Was the third day? Yeah, this is the third day. So here's that random link. Yeah. In fact, that's true. If you go to the third day, because we're going to need this link as well, this finance.yahoo.com, but we can just type that in too. Okay, so back to the code now. So if I have my Fallen Angel spreadsheet and I've got my code, we have a web query tab and the web query setup now in the web query tab. We have a Fallen Angel tab. And here's what I want to do. Instead of using the headers that it has here, I actually want to change these headers to a couple different things. One is, let's see, what's the name? Total revenue. So I'm going to take this current PE. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to just type in here total revenue. So we're going to look for total revenue for each of these companies. We're going to look for operating income. And then we're going to ask a question. Is operating margin greater than 10%? And that's how we're going to do this project. So we're going to find total revenue for these companies.
So you want us to those instead of what
Yeah.
assignment instructions say to do something different.
Yeah, it does. We're going to make this more supply chain specific. And it's actually going to make the overall assignment easier.
It'll switch though in the assignment instructions though, or like.
No, it won't, unfortunately.
Okay, well, it mess up the grading.
No, it won't. Fortunately. Yeah. Fortunately, this does not affect the grading, but this will make more sense and be an easier assignment if we change what we're looking for and make these changes. So the first one is total revenue. Second one is operating income. And the third is we want this to be yes or no. The operating margins are greater than 10%, yes or no. Okay, so those are the first changes. Now, what we can do is we can write some macro, right? We can record a macro that allows us to copy and paste the ticker symbol to this next web. I'll put that right there after I'll paste it in, for example. I'll right click, and here's what I'm doing is I'm just going through what we're gonna do in the macro. Right? I'm about to record a macro. I just want to go through those steps before I record it, so we're all on the same page. I'm gonna start my macro with, I'm right on B4, cell B4 on the fallen angel sheet. And I'm gonna start my macro, I'm gonna record. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna come over to the web query, and I'm just walking through the steps, not actually recording yet, but this is what I'm going to do. I'll come over here and I'll paste this here, paste it into AM1. I'll right click anywhere on this web query results here, and I'll go to edit query. And I'll click on the no, click on the no. And I want to import this because it doesn't matter what we do here in this screen, the VBA doesn't record it. So I just go ahead and import it. And it's going to import this. And then I'm going to click back here on this sheet and go to the next ticker, and then I'll stop recording. Does that sound good? That's what I want to record. Let's see, how am I doing on time? Do I have another few seconds here? Let's see. Oh, wrong one. Stand by. Let's see. Let's see. Is that what I want? Yes, that's what I want. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add another macro to that looks for the total revenue and looks for operating income, copies and pastes those in here after we have the data, and then does one more calculation formula here. And we'll put that in here, yes or no, right? We'll take, is the operating income divided by total revenue? If that divided by that is greater than 10%, then yes, else no. So we want these to say yes or no. And that's where we're gonna go. Okay, great. So I'll put this right here. I'll start my recording, record macro. Yeah, macro one's fine. I'll just take the default name. I don't really need a shortcut because all I do is I just want to pull the code from this macro. So I'll just click OK. I'll start recording. I'm going to copy my ticker, stock ticker. I'll go to web query. I will select A1 and I'll paste it on A1. And I'll right click on one of these. I'll right click on A4. I'll click on edit query. I'll click on no. And then I'll click on import. And it's imported it. I'll click back on Fallen Angel, click on the next stock ticker, and I'll stop recording. Okay.
So, like, they give me the option to click again, like again with an exclamation mark, or go back, but import on the right. So I right click on A4.
Right.
Went to edit query.
Yep.
Then I clicked no.
Yep.
So then it showed, it said timestamp and I actually call that, and it said again.
Oh, weird. I think you could either.
I think again might just be another way.
Yeah, it's probably irrelevant because it's probably related to this screen, so it probably won't show up in the code. Yeah, so you can do either one. As long as you import,
You press import.
that'll refresh. Right, not yet. Yeah. Okay, great. So now back on the code, this is the macro that we just created, and I have the code here. And so now I'm going to go ahead and copy this over to my solution. If I leave it here in module 1, the grader's not going to see it. So I need to copy this back over to the solution tab. And I don't need the sub macro 1. I don't need the end sub. I'm just going to copy everything on the inside of this sub. I'll just copy it, come back to the solution, and put it on the inside of this sub right here, underneath all the green. Question?
So I clicked again, then the script error, I clicked no, it would want me again, second time.
Oh, what if you could go back? Try to go back. Okay, let's see, we got 2 more minutes. Let's see how far we can go with 2 minutes. I may not be able to finish it, but let's see how far we get. So this is the code. I'm going to start, I'm going to copy. That's the first thing I do. I go to web query, I select it. I go to that sheet. I go to range A1. I paste it into range A1. I select A4. This is the changes that we make to our query table. So if you remember this, the first time we did this, we took this line and we put it up here. We did a connection equals, and we put all that on one line here. We took out this dot command type. We just completely deleted that line. That's just a bad line. And then we have our refresh here. So this refreshes our table. At this point, we can come in here to this URL. So instead of using this URL, I'll take out the random URL and I'll type in the finance one. So this is the one we want to type in. We want to type in this Yahoo Finance one. It's a little bit different than one we've used before. https://finance.yahoo.com/quote/ and then we're going to go double quote, and we're going to do an ampersand. We're going to concatenate. And what we're concatenating is we want to know what is that ticker. So we're going to reference range A1.value. And then we're going to concatenate again with the rest of the URL, which is the actual financials page. How about that? So we're basically saying, give me the stock ticker symbol inside of this overall URL and concatenate it with the first part of this URL and with the last part of this URL. So before, I don't think we had this financials page. It was a little bit different page. We're actually going to the financials page for this stock quote.
Can you slide back a little bit?
Yeah, you bet. Let me make this a little bit bigger this way. How about that? There we go. Okay, so at this point, if I come down here and put a stop here, let's see what happens. So if I go back to my fallen angel, I'll select the Walmart ticker, and I'll run that. I have to be on the Walmart ticker, WMT, to run this. And let's see what happens. It should not give me an error. Oh, I have to delete this first. You have to delete that first black text up top. It's actually keeping it's running, so I can't stop it right now. But the message box is there. It says, hey, just delete this line of code. But it's actually doing something here. This is good. It's copied Walmart to the top of the next sheet. It's going to go out and pull that page with Walmart in the URL, and it's going to pull it back to here. Okay, great. I better let you go. I better stop the recording here. Can I finish this up with another recording and send this out? I'd like to get a little bit farther. I was hoping to get a little bit farther. It's fine that we didn't. Let me go ahead and send you a little bit more video on this one, just to kind of push you in the right direction. This is a good start. You can go from here, but what we need to do is we need to find total revenue. We need to find operating income, then perform a calculation in that third cell. So we have a little bit more ways to go in the project, but this is the right direction. Is that helpful? Okay, good. All right, I'll go ahead and stop the recording for now and follow up with another video. This is it. Just real quick, in fact, what you're going to want to do is record another macro, recording yourself finding total revenue, right? You're going to search for total revenue. It's going to take you to where that is. You're going to offset one cell, copy and paste that back to whichever ticker you were on right next to that, right? By the way, if you use relative macros in your macro, it'll help you with that a lot. Then go back to the web query in the macro, search for operating income, grab the offset of that search result right there, copy and paste that here, then do a formula in the code that says if this divided by that is greater than 10%, then yes. In other words, capital yes, why yes. We can just, that's, yeah, just do the formula in the code. So in other words, yeah, you don't want a hard code. You would want to write an if statement in the macro. Well, it's interesting. If you're using relative references and you're recording a macro, you can actually do an if statement here. And you're going to do, right, this divided by this is greater than 0.1, then yes, else no, right? You want to record that in the macro. And what's great is if you use relative references, if this option is selected when you're recording it, this will enable that C5 and D5 to be relative. And that's going to be included in your macro. And you just copy that macro code into this solution module, and you should be good. Right? That's like the last trick to this, is getting this formula into your code, but making it sure that it's relative reference and making sure you get the yes or no. And you're good. That's basically it. But yeah, let me follow up with another video and send that out to everybody. That's a great question. The video?
And you're gonna post this
Hope.
and the next one you're gonna do whenever it's on the same page, where it's like, where it's
Yeah.